Welcome to Week 12 of Introduction to Philosophy. Our subject this week is Bacon. No, not that Bacon, but Francis Bacon and Francis Bacon's idols. Our objectives: to define Bacon's empiricism and Bacon's idols, to understand the development of the scientific method and its impact on philosophy, and to identify the personal idols we have using self-reflection. Francis Bacon lived from 1561 to 1626. He was born in a well-to-do London family. He started at Cambridge at the age of 12, and he graduated with a law degree. He lived during the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I in England. His father was Lord Chancellor, so he was very much an upper-class Brit. He regarded method as the key to knowledge. Knowledge is power, he is reported to have said. He believed that learning had become stagnant, and he disliked past methods of learning. He believed medieval science was unreliable and mainly based upon ancient Greek and Roman knowledge, a lot of mysticism in science. His main goal was a simple one: the total reconstruction of science's arts and all human knowledge. He argued for an inductive science based on the direct examination of nature and the careful generalization of those observations. He believed science should provide practical information. He urged an inductive, practical science. He held that truths of nature are discovered and not theorized. He advocated the use of inductive logic and the acquisition of knowledge based on experiments. Our modern approach is to first have a hypothesis that we can test. But for Bacon, it was more about observations. All right, you'd have simple observations, and if you looked at enough, you could make conclusions. So he made lists of everything he observed. So it's not perfect, but it's closer to the modern than the science of his time. Novum Organum. This was his defining philosophical work, and it took on the fallacies that hinder logical thinking. These internal prejudices, which he called idols, were obstacles to knowledge. Bacon does not propose an actual philosophy, but rather a method of developing philosophy. He wrote that the philosopher should instead proceed through inductive reasoning from fact to axiom to law. But you had to free yourself from false notions or tendencies to distort the truth. You had to free yourself from these idols. Pause the video and take some time to read an excerpt from Novum Organum and answer the questions on the reading guide. I'll see you back here when you're done. Welcome back. Now let's get to the last part of our lesson for this week: identifying the things in your lives which keep you from gaining knowledge. As we examine Bacon's idols, his idols of the tribe are fallacies common to humankind, tendencies to be deceived. All right, it's something that's in our nature ourselves, in the race of man. Right? We tend to oversimplify and believe the latest theory. We tend to anthropomorphize animals and give them human qualities. I think of the initial assertion that nature worked like an organic body, that all orbits would be perfect circles. Perhaps that nature is one big machine. This is where we get superstitions from. It rained the last time we wore red, so therefore whenever we wear red, it will rain. Next up, the idols of the cave or den. Think of Plato's allegory of the cave. Think of our individual biases that result from our personal experiences or your personal obsessions. This is your tendency to become deceived due to your perspective. Some examples of the cave or den. Are you a Steeler fan? Are you a Pirate fan? A Penguin fan? Do you like one particular band and therefore don't like another musical artist? Something that gets in the way of you finding true knowledge. I think the clearest example could be being a Steeler fan. If you're swayed by the emotions of that attachment and you've been raised in this cave as a Steeler fan, then you aren't able to engage in a sober analysis of the game. You're just upset that your team lost. And you could apply that to, like I said, musical artists or political parties or what have you. It's an emotional trend. Now, the idols of the market. The idols in the market refer to a misuse of language or errors that arise in communication with others. So errors in communication that get in the way of knowledge. Sometimes this is the hardest for people to understand, but pretty simply, think about any miscommunication you've had with friends or family. Maybe it's been a generational miscommunication caused by the language between you and your grandparents. Maybe it was the kind of error. Maybe it was sarcasm not being picked up in a text, or you inadvertently angered someone through an email. The idols of the theater are based on false reasoning. These are errors in grand theories. They enter into people's mind from various dogmas of philosophies and also from wrong laws of demonstration. But the social norms and fads, just these systems that get in the way of the patient, humble search for truth. The best example I can think is our current political system, right? You may stridently advocate for a particular party, and that can get in the way of a true patient search for knowledge. You might not listen to the other side. You might not be willing to accept that the other side has a valid statement because you're emotionally tied up and you've accepted these theories as facts. So now you're going to apply these idols to your life. You're going to identify 4 to 6 idols. You can always do more that keep you from gaining knowledge. Combine photos and pictures in a presentation and upload it online. I look forward to you examining your own lives and trying to find these idols. Guess what? We all have them. You may choose to not get rid of them. But Bacon would say if we can look past the idols, or at least recognize and understand the idols that we have, we could gain true knowledge, not just the knowledge we want or the knowledge that's easy for us to accept.